Hello there, welcome to this Advective weather video on the ongoing weather situation across the United States. Starting off with the severe weather, we are on day 2 out of 3 of an ongoing severe weather outbreak with a moderate 4 out of 5 risk in place today for dangerous severe thunderstorm winds, very large hail and some strong tornadoes. Tomorrow has been upgraded to an enhanced risk level 3 out of 5, primarily for damaging winds. Tomorrow could see the tornado risk upgraded as well. You'll want to check in tomorrow for how that situation develops. But focusing on today, second day of widespread severe thunderstorms across parts of Texas, Arklatex, Oklahoma, into Mississippi and Tennessee. We'll see more tornadoes, unfortunately, a few of which could be intense EF3+. Very large hail to baseball size or larger is likely today. We've already seen some hail to softball size yesterday in a region that wasn't particularly anticipated quite far south. Today, moderate risk for hail is in place. Very large hail, which will be destructive where it falls. You want to be paying close attention to the severe thunderstorm warnings, particularly early on when the hail is likely to be largest in the Dallas metroplex and areas around that part of Texas, where the greatest risk for hail is today. Moving later into the event, the threat will transition from hail-dominated to wind-dominated, with widespread damaging wind gusts to hurricane force expected for some locations. Once again, you want to pay attention to those severe thunderstorm warnings when they come out for your location, as this line of storms could produce quite substantial damage in a couple of locations. Now here's a setup producing all this weather today. You can see that a dry line is in place across Texas with a low-pressure system along the Red River, stalled boundary across Oklahoma and Arkansas all the way out to the east coast. That's producing a lot of flash flooding along that boundary, and as the system moves northeast, the flooding threat will spread into the Midwest, covering that towards the last part of this video. Focusing on the severe weather as we move forward, here is the full outlook for today. You can see that a moderate risk stretches from well west of Dallas through to just south of Little Rock, including parts of Oklahoma and far northwestern Louisiana. That is once again driven by hail and wind, because the tornado risk has been downgraded from 15% to 10%. This is a great thing to see. The environment is less favorable than we thought. The energy in the atmosphere has gone up, but the shear that tornadoes need has gone down slightly, and it appears messier. So we're less certain in what's going to be happening today. Now, that's not to say that strong tornadoes aren't possible. You can see that a hatched risk remains, indicating that strong tornadoes are expected in some part of this very large risk region that comes from central Texas all the way to Memphis. But anywhere within this risk region could see an intense tornado or two. That's EF3+. Those are very dangerous tornadoes. Start getting to the point where if you're not in a good shelter, you're unlikely to survive if a tornado of that strength hits you. Now, of course, there's no guarantee that something like that will happen today. If there are tornadoes, they could well stay over open country, but you need to be prepared if you're in this risk region for the possibility of a tornado moving towards your house. Have a way to receive warnings and take action when the warning is issued. Now here's the wind outlook. So you can see a large region, 45 hatched risk from Dallas to just south of Little Rock. This is a dangerous region where hurricane force wind gusts will happen at some point during the afternoon and evening hours, potentially with multiple rounds of severe storms. If you're really unlucky, your house could be hit multiple times by strong to hurricane force winds with thunderstorms. Please pay attention to all warnings issued by your local National Weather Service office. And the hail, which I mentioned earlier, should be 2 baseball size or larger, with multiple storms today. Farther west you are, the more likely you are to see the largest hail, but it's centered on the Dallas-Fortworth metro area. This could be a particularly destructive day for hail. Hopefully we don't see too much damage, but I'm sure people will be inspecting a few broken car windshields tomorrow morning. Now looking at the XRRR for what's likely to happen today, you can see those hail-producing storms firing across North Texas into South Oklahoma at first before the storms fire on that dry line and grow upscale, producing a significant wind threat as they move through Texas into Arkansas and Louisiana. Now there is the possibility that some of these storms that will produce not just hail but tornadoes. We are struggling to work out where the tornado threat will be maximized. Certainly possible that tornadoes could happen anywhere in that large hatched 10% region, but confidence in any particular part of that region being especially favorable has diminished, which is why the risk has been dropped. But all the way into the overnight hours, tornadoes will be possible. both embedded within the line and with any supercells that form ahead of the line. You will need to be alert for this event. Moving on to tomorrow, with a recent upgrade to enhanced risk with the second Day 2 outlook. You can see that comes from Nashville up to Louisville, parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. The tornado risk has remained at a large 5%, covering a great number of states. I'm not going to have time to count them all in this video, but you can see where you are and where the risk is. This may be upgraded tomorrow, and of course, after today's event is over, our video tomorrow will have greater detail on the expected storms tomorrow. But the enhanced risk is an upgrade for wind. It's not hatched this time, which means that wind gusts are likely to be 60-70 miles an hour. There, of course, is the potential for some of those gusts to be hurricane force, but that's currently expected to be a less than 10% chance at this time. Of course, anywhere within this region could see damaging for severe thunderstorms. Please be aware. And a severe hail risk is not anticipated tomorrow. Here's the ARRR model output for tomorrow. You can see that line of storms that starts in Texas, continues to move through Arkansas, Mississippi, into Tennessee and Kentucky, and it could pep up a bit in the late morning and early afternoon. There will be extreme shear, but the uncertainty is in the energy available. It will be very limited if our current expectations are correct, which will reduce the tornado threat, but wind threat will still be substantial from these storms. And of course, if the energy increases a little bit more than what we're expecting, the tornado threat will have to be upgraded, and that will happen tomorrow because we had our last update for today. Now, likely to be tornado watches today with the tornado threat, but severe thunderstorm warnings will be widespread once the event gets going, and they will be for damaging winds and large to very large hail. If a severe thunderstorm warning is issued for your location, you do not want to be outside. Very large hail of this size is deadly if it hits you in the head. If you have to go outside, try to wear a helmet or have something over your head that will do some sort of cushioning. No, not like a piece of paper, that's not going to do anything for hail, but if you have to be outside, worst case scenario, in a hailstorm, you want to be inside, but if you have to go outside, try to have a helmet or something similar to protect yourself until you're able to get to a safe place. Now, when these warnings are issued, you want to move inside as quickly as possible, and ideally you want to be in a firm structure with a good solid roof. When the hail gets to this size, it can punch through weak roofs and severely injure people who are sheltering inside their homes. If you think you have a weak roof, try to put yourself on the lower floor of your house, because hail is likely to come through that thin roof, but it's unlikely to then go through your first story floor. If you're in a one-story building or a mobile home or a manufactured home, put a helmet on just in case that hail comes through your roof. Better to be safe than sorry. And of course, tornado watches likely to be issued. Tornado warnings issued for your location. Seek shelter immediately. It is almost always a life-threatening situation if a tornado is on the ground. Do not take any chances. Move to an interior room as quickly as possible. Now, here is the FEMA recommendations for sheltering options from a tornado. You do not want to be in a mobile home, vehicles, and especially not underneath a highway overpass. Bad options also include large open spaces or manufactured housing. If at all possible, you want to be in a well-constructed home in an interior room or a basement or a storm shelter. If you have time, move from a mobile home or manufactured house into a better safety option, but in a last-minute situation, do the best you can. Now, here is the 3-step plan for this event that was put out by National Weather Service Little Rock. We're on step 3 today, step 2 was yesterday. You should be executing your tornado safety plan. You want to stay informed and you want to contact family and close friends to let them know what you're doing if severe weather is impacting your specific location. And you can see as a last resort some action you can take. Feel free to pause and read it. But the bottom line is you can replace your possessions, but you can't replace life, and you should focus on protecting life before you protect your property. Now, best way to help stay safe in these situations is to know where the storms are, and that means getting warnings with getting good warnings. Best way to do that is with a mobile device where you can get all the things you see there to help you stay aware. You can of course use the internet, local TV and radio. Outdoor sirens work sometimes, but they're less reliable. Obviously emergency alerts and weather apps, and the standard NOAA weather radio is the gold standard for a severe weather event. You want to check the batteries and anything, you want to charge things as much as possible in case the power goes out, particularly your mobile device, and you want to stay in contact with friends and family when you're taking action so that they can get authorities to go and help you if you are impacted and unable to get help yourself. Now, that's all the severe weather stuff that we're going through today. Moving on to the significant winter storm, which is looking to be quite a sizable event for portions of the Midwest and Northeastern United States. This is on the northern side of the system producing the severe weather, and it's likely to be quite potent. Feel free to pause and read the full key messages. But up to a foot of snow is possible to impact parts of the Midwest, northern Midwest specifically, and into the northeastern United States. So you can see that there is a 90% chance of at least 8 inches of snow for parts of New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire. Now, the overall winter storm severity impacts, you can see that it's difficult to tell, but there is a small region of major impacts with considerable disruptions likely for the heaviest snow in the Midwestern region, the northern Indiana, and there's also a major impacts region for southern Maine. The snow continues across the mountainous regions of the far west United States, extreme impacts in the high mountains of California, Oregon, and Washington. This is just adding to the problems over there. There's been building collapses. It's quite a nasty situation, of course. Lots of highway impacts as well. I-40 was closed yesterday with significant traffic accidents in Arizona. Hopefully everyone's getting back to normal after the storm moves out. It might take a couple of days to clear all the snow from the roads and open everything up, but hopefully everyone's doing okay. Also, with additional snow for the mountain areas, it's going to be worse. There's been quite a few structure collapses from the weight of the snow on top of them, and hopefully people are able to clear their roofs before any further collapses happen. Now, here is the low-resolution NAM model for the United States over the next 3 days. You can see that rapidly intensifying system with severe weather to the south and developing snowstorms to the north of it that pushes through the Midwest, Great Lakes, into southern Canada, and then into the northeastern United States. There will be some freezing rain, some sleet, but the main impact is expected to be snow. Of course, go to your local National Weather Service office for further local details. Change from yesterday, much of the winter storm warnings across the west have been dropped, but fresh winter storm watches are in place for parts of California and Oregon. We now have the winter storm watches also in effect for the Midwest and the parts of the northeastern United States. Those will increase in coverage during the next day or two before being upgraded to winter storm warnings, potentially ice storm warnings for a couple of counties. And at the moment, a single county in Maine is under a winter storm warning for some snow in the next day or so. To the south, widespread flood watches, which is what we're going to go through shortly, and then also some red flag warnings, which we'll be covering at the end of the video. Now, here is what to do in this various situations. So when a winter storm warning is issued, considerable travel problems are expected. We have plenty of winter storm watches in place right now, which means that outside of 24 hours or so, a winter storm is expected to happen. And you should be taking preparations now. Get any medicine, get any food you need for the next several days. Anticipate losing power at some point, particularly if you're in that region of up to a foot of snow, and just be prepared for a fairly substantial winter storm. Of course, there may be ice storm for a couple of counties, and if you're in a ice storm warning, these are some last-minute actions that you can take, although hopefully you'll have collected your food and prescriptions well in advance of the warning issuance. After the storm with power outages, be careful with fire risk. You want to keep pets and children away from hot objects such as candles, space heaters, to prevent them being knocked over and causing fire. And if you're using a portable generator, keep it well away from the house to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Once you and your family are safe, check on your neighbours and make sure everyone in your area is okay also. Now, moving on to the severe flooding, which has unfortunately already caused substantial flash flooding issues. With yesterday's storms, it's going to get worse today with a moderate 3 out of 4 risk in place. That drops to a slight 2 out of 4 risk tomorrow and moves slightly farther to the north and east. Multiple rounds of intense rain and hail melt from the storms will be impacting the region. Flash flooding ongoing, and it will get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. It will be particularly severe in that moderate risk region from just north of Dallas through to western Kentucky and southern Illinois. Life-threatening flooding will be possible in these regions. As you saw, widespread flood watches are in place. That means if you're in a flood watch, that means that flash flooding is possible in any river valley or even urban areas in particularly intense thunderstorms. Flood warning means that flooding is happening in your area and you need to take action to protect yourself from the rising water immediately. Here are some 3 simple steps to be safe in flooding situations. Get to higher ground. Fairly obvious, but you might not think of it if you're in a dangerous situation and start to panic. But the key thing is to stay focused. Do not drive into water. That's the most dangerous thing. It only takes half a foot of water to knock you off your feet, and a foot of flowing water can lift your average car and carry it into the river, and that's when a lot of people lose their lives every year. It's very unfortunate. Don't be one of those people. Stay out of the water. Stay where you are. Better to spend your night in a car if you're trapped by water on both sides. Stay on that high point. Stay safe. If the water starts to rise and you can't escape, call the emergency services and they will get someone to try and help you. If necessary, fly in a helicopter. But the motto is, when it's flooded, turn around, don't drown. You may think that it's a short distance and perhaps not too deep, but it can be deceiving. And of course, stay informed with those watches and warnings from your local radar, television, radio, internet, or social media. Finally, onto the fire weather. Red flag warnings continue across western and southern Texas and parts of New Mexico. There's also some red flag warnings behind the high wind warning. The greatest fire risk will obviously be where the wind is strongest across that western part of the region, but dangerous fire conditions remain across the red flag warning area today. Be very careful with flames. You can see that critical risk region comes from just south of Midland through to southern parts of the Texas-Mexico border, including San Angelo, San Antonio and Lubbock in an elevated fire weather risk today. Red flag warnings means that critical fire weather conditions are happening, and they have been for all of yesterday and parts of today. Avoid burning, be very careful around open flames, especially outside, and dispose of any hot object such as a cigarette or a poker very carefully. And additionally, be careful with car exhausts. They can cause fires if they come into contact with dry grassland. That's all for today. We hope we've been helpful and been able to provide some information to you. Of course, if you want to stay up to date, you can join us on Discord and ask us any additional questions you have. We respond to every comment you leave us, and we'll be going live later today to cover the substantial severe weather threat across parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Thank you very much, and please stay safe.